Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. Today we're taking a look at the Maryland Terps 2022 spring game. One of my dark horses for the Big Ten this year. It is an extremely talented team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We saw how they finished off the season in the Pinstripe Bowl, absolutely blowing out Virginia Tech. This team has a lot of momentum and a lot of things to look forward to as they come into that 2022 season. Starting with quarterback Taulia T. He is an extremely talented quarterback. We all know that. Has good genes in his bloodline, obviously, with his brother playing for the Miami Dolphins. But he's a guy that's developed, and we've seen him just get better and better as he's been at Maryland. Last year, I thought was one of his best seasons. I believe it was 26 touchdowns for only 11 interceptions with over 3,500 yards. I mean, he lit up the stat sheet, but he also took care of the football. That's one of the big concerns that you have about him. And he decided to do that at a really high level last year. But what I want to see is I think we know he'll be good. He's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. I think the ceiling of this team depends on if he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, which I certainly think he could be. He's going to have a lot of help around him. And this is quite frankly why I have them as one of my dark horses in the Big Ten to really make some noise. The wide receiver room around him, when they all get healthy, is going to be one of the best that we've seen in the country. You have teams like Texas, USC, with Ohio State with really, really solid wide receivers. This is one of the best groups in the country, right up with those guys. Starting with Dante Demas Jr., obviously had the gruesome injury against Iowa. He should be back in the summer and then obviously in the fall for the season. One of the best wide receivers in the country. Love his game. Loved it for years. Believe it's around 1,700 career yards. Hopefully he's healthy, ready to go. But he's one of the best wide receivers in the country. We don't really need to tell you guys much more about him. But another guy that I'm extremely excited for, and as Dante Demas got hurt, Raquin Jarrett stepped up to the plate. A little bit more of a shorter wide receiver, extremely, extremely fast, jittery. He's got some serious juice to him with the ball in his hands. A top 30 recruit in the 2019 or 2020 class, so he's draft eligible this year. Expect him to really try to make some plays, help his draft stock out. But he's just a guy that extremely excited for. Did not play in the spring game, but you kind of know what Dante Demas and Raquin Jarrett bring to the table. The guy I want to talk about, you obviously have guys like Jayshon Jones who've also produced for Maryland. Jacob Copeland, the transfer from Florida, I think is one of the most under talked about transfers in the country. He was really, really good at Florida. In the 2020 year, the COVID year, he was kind of buried behind a really, really deep room with Kyle Trask, and then you throw into Kyle Pitts, Van Jefferson, Trevon Grimes, just kind of didn't get as much playing time as he would have liked or as talented or as much as he was talented to get. Last year, they just couldn't get off the ground. Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson, the quarterback play was super inconsistent. And Jacob Copeland, although he was good, I don't think really reached his full potential. You get him into Maryland, he's going to be probably the third option, but he's just as talented as these first two guys. Extremely good at running routes, creating space. And I think one of the best things about Dante Demas and Raquin Jarrett not being able to be healthy and play today is Jacob Copeland and Taulia, they got a lot of work together, and you saw that chemistry click right away. The first two drives, Taulia's getting it out to Jacob Copeland in space, letting him do some work. He threw a great ball on like a post out to the boundary. One of Taulia's best balls that he threw all day. They scored the touchdowns on the first two drives of the game, and Taulia looked really in command. I think he was getting the ball out on time. He was pretty accurate for those first two drives, and he wasn't putting the ball in harm's way, which is very important when you're kind of talking about his ceiling and how good he can be for this Maryland team. The last couple drives of the game weren't as good, kind of choppy. I think Taulia had a few throws that he would like to have back, but I thought overall he still looked very, very good. I was extremely impressed with how he played, and I'm extremely excited about this offense. Behind the offensive line that we'll talk about real quick, all five starters are back. They have over 50 or 60 starts between the five guys coming back. It's a talented group, and I think at the end of the day, experience on the offensive line is really what matters. The best offensive line units you see in the country are teams that are returning a lot of starters, returning a lot of chemistry together in terms of picking up blitzes and that gelling and chemistry as a unit. I think that'll be a strength of the Maryland team. And probably the biggest question mark you have is that running back spot. Loxley was talking about how it's a position battle. kind of looking for a guy, and that's probably the biggest thing. Fleet Davis was good, but I don't think he was great. Is there a running back that's going to step up and kind of be the bell cow for Maryland, or are they going to go committee? Roman Hemby had a nice run, nice touchdown run on the first drive. He looked good, but not as good after that run. I thought the most impressive running back was Kobe McDonald. Jalen Famatu, he was a walk-on. He actually got hurt on his first carry, which was tough to see. But I thought Kobe McDonald looked really good. He was playing with the second team offense, but he was getting a lot of work on the perimeter and pass catching. I liked how they were getting the run outside of the perimeter. I just worry a little bit about if is there going to be a running back that's explosive, that can make some plays, get to the next level, pop off some big runs. I don't really know if that's going to be the case, but this offense, it's no secret. They're going to sling the ball around the yard. That's kind of how they're going to model that offense. And I think we just talked about it. The wide receivers, they're really deep. They're going to be able to do that no problem. I think it'd be nice to have a running back that steps up and really makes some plays for Maryland. Moving over to the defense side of the ball, a little bit more question marks on the defense side of the ball. They've lost some good guys who are key contributors. Obviously, Nick Cross just got picked in the third round last year. The biggest thing on the defensive front is there was just not a guy that was consistently getting pressure on the quarterback. I believe the leader in sacks for the team last year was at 4.5. So it's just there wasn't a guy that you could look to, like you see on all the biggest, best defenses in the country, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan. They have Aiden Hutchinson, Will Anderson, a guy that 3rd and 8, he's going to be the tackle and get some pressure and impact the play. There's not really a guy that's dominant on this Maryland team, and I was kind of looking for a guy who might flash and stand out. I thought Ami Finau, he looked really good, number 54 on the interior. He's a guy that he's a very good athlete. He's kind of short to the ground, but he's explosive. He can move some bodies. Hopefully he can be a guy that can bust up some pockets, get some pressure on the quarterback. That's probably my biggest concern of this Maryland defense is what guy on the defensive line is going to get some pressures. And you can manufacture that in some other ways, like different blitz packages, and be creative if you need to get some pressure on the quarterback. And then the linebacker, it's a good room. They obviously lost a few guys in that 2021 class that hurts, but it's another position battle. Jayshawn Barham, the number one guy from the 2022 recruiting class, was starting at linebacker. I think the biggest guy you're going to look for is Reuben Hippolyte. He's a guy that was one of the higher recruits in the 2020 class or 2019 class, one of the two. He's got the frame. He's got the build. You just want to see him put it together. I thought he looked pretty good. TJ Kautai, he's a JUCO transfer. He also looked pretty good. He's got some defensive back experience, which is nice. And then Ahmad Nicole, I don't know how to say his last name. He's a long, rangy linebacker who was starting to put it together a little bit last year. He's got a lot of traits too. I think at the end of the day, the story about this guy is about this group is which of the guys are going to emerge and be those starting linebackers. Because right now, what I saw is 4 or 5 linebackers could be solid starters in the Big Ten. Just which one of those guys are going to really take that over fall camp. And then the secondary, obviously, you might be down there losing Nick Cross, but they have a lot of guys who I'm really high on. Deonte Banks, hopefully he stays healthy. He should be a really good guy to count on. Tariq Still had 10 pass breakups last year. Jacorian Bennett had 3 interceptions and 11 pass breakups. Isaiah Hazel from the nickelback spot also looked really good. Yeah, they lose Nick Cross. Yeah, they lose Jordan Mosley, but they have a lot of guys who are experienced and some playmakers on the back end of that defense who I think can make some plays, get some turnovers for the Maryland Terps. And again, to recap, we're going to get deeper into these teams in our summer scouting of them. But from the spring game, this offense is electric. It's going to be really good. Whether they go 8-5 or whether they go, I'm trying to do the numbers in my head. I kind of looked at their schedule. 10-2 might not be in the cards just because the Big Ten is a loaded division, but 9-3, 8-4, or 6-6, I think is going to be on how Taulia can produce. How good can he be? Can he be a first-team All-Big Ten guy? Or is he going to be kind of an honor? I think he'll be one of the better Big Ten quarterbacks. But is he going to be elite? Is he going to be able to take this offense to the next level and just put up 40 burgers on teams and outscore teams? Because I don't think this defense is anything really special. They have a lot of question marks, but this offense doesn't. This offense is loaded up. They're ready to roll. And I think that's where they're going to be a team that is going to be competing for a Big Ten title or being a 6-6 bowl team. I really like this team. I think they're going to be good. Just how good are they going to be is going to be dependent on how Taulia can mesh with those talented wide receivers on the edge and make plays. Hope you guys enjoyed my 2022 spring game recap of the Maryland Terps. Again, the support has been absolutely awesome. If you guys do like the content, go subscribe to the channel. We're talking college football all summer and in the 2022 college football season. Y'all the best for supporting the channel. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.